Um, First off, let me turn on the light over here. Ooh, actually, you can see me. I got a question the other day about from my another one from my blog about the collaring process, and um, one of the things I said is that it takes a year, and the question also was about why I feel collaring is and a lot of people in the community feel that collaring is deeper than a marriage. Let's deal with that part first. The reason that a lot of us feel that a collar is deeper than a marriage is because the deliberate time that it takes to do what we do. Okay, it's a step by step process. It's not a hey, we're dating, let's get married, boom, we get married, here's a ring. It's a deliberative process. It is something that, if done properly, starts at one point, ends at another point. You have to go through this entire phase where you have to spend a decent amount of time figuring out what it is that you are. What is the relationship you have? You don't just turn around and go, here's a collar. I think that's a bad method of doing things. It is something that you spend your time. That is something that you don't get with a marriage. With a marriage, it's yes, you're dating, and then you say, hey, let's get married, and then that's it. That's it. There's nothing. There's just that. With collaring, you have several different things. The collaring process itself usually involves 5 different distinct sections. First off is getting into a relationship. Okay? In that time, you're establishing what it is you're doing. Second is the play collar. This is something that you have set up to say, this is meaning I'm playing with you, you're playing with me, we are in a relationship, and it's primarily based as a play relationship. Once you have had a sufficient enough time, it could be a couple months, could be a year, could be as long as you want, then you move on to the second collar. The second collar, which is the first of the primary collaring, can either be a training collar or a consideration collar. Now, depending on who you're talking to, it could be in either of those orders. Basically, a training collar is the time in which you spend training the person you are with, or you are being trained by the person you are with. This means that that's when you learn all of the little intricate details about how to serve each other, how to make each other happy. Whatever it is, the little, these are the little things I want. I mean, you've already established some of this stuff prior to any of the collars, but you spend this time getting into the minutia of what it is you want. Then you move on to, or you can flip it to a consideration collar. The consideration collar is what you can either use that as your, am I willing to spend the time and energy to train this person, or this person has done well in training and is showing that they are serious about wanting to be with me. Either one of those works. The consideration collar itself is something that you can use as that time period where you are either considering, do I continue on with them with training, or do I go forward and actually collar them as a slave? The slave collar itself is the end-all be-all. Like I said, for me, and a lot of people I've dealt with over my almost 25 years of being in the life, is the highest level you can get to in a collar. You have to show that you earned it. It is something that is earned. A wedding ring is something you just go, here's a wedding ring. You have to earn a collar. People who just go straight to saying, here's a collar, you're now my slave, I don't think understand the reality of what we do. You have to show that you want it. Both the dominant and the submissive both have to show they want to be there. Because in our world, taking a collar off is a major thing. If you want to see my feelings about collars, I have a great video on that. It's one of my most emotional videos I've ever made, is about the slave collar itself. I think I'll just go ahead and link that video in the box below. But to get to that point where you actually want to put a collar on them, is something that takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, takes a lot of thought, a lot of play. Let's just be honest. A lot of what we do is about play. But to get to that point, you have to show that you are real and that you want it as much as the other person. And this goes for both the top and the bottom. In that regard, we have things like collaring ceremonies. Collaring ceremonies are a completely different animal. A collaring ceremony is something that, when you put it out and do it right, can be as little as two people in a room saying a few words to each other, with the dominant putting a collar on the submissive. Or it can be very elaborate. And I've been involved in both types. Very elaborate ones done at a club with tons of people and an audience, and it becomes a big event. This is the thing about it. It can be something simple, something complex. This is the world that we live in. So my thing would be very simple. If you're going to do this, do it right. Take your time, get some education. And I think that by doing that, by starting off with a play collar, then moving on to a consideration or a training collar, and then eventually moving into a slave collar, you will actually have a much deeper relationship. Slave collars are not usually something that are just taken off and thrown away. Okay? Also, keep in mind, there's no legal binding to it. We will never, and I just make this very, very clear, never will a slave collar be recognized the same way as a wedding ring is. It will always be seen as just that thing. But for us, it is something that's very, very, very important. So, if you want me to get into more detail, I still need to get back to doing videos on each of these individual collars themselves. But if you have any questions, hit me up below. Like, subscribe, comment, support me if you like. That's it for now. Be well and safe.